All right, good morning. This morning we're gonna work with learning a little bit more about how to create symbols and how that can be useful to us in completing a final animation. As part of this, we're also going to learn how to better use our library and manage files in there, and how to bring those files from our library onto our screen. So without further ado, we're going to get started. The goal for today is going to be to create a windmill of sorts. I've created a very simple one here, and I'm going to show you how I created that. I would encourage going to Google Images and looking at different cartoon windmills and finding one that might give you a little bit of inspiration, and then you can get creative and create your own. So to draw that, what I want to do is I'm going to create this windmill that I'll just go ahead and give you an example. Is going to move consistently throughout the entire animation. So I could have all sorts of things going on in the background, but no matter what, this windmill is going to stay uh, in a constant. It's going to constantly move throughout the animation. It'll add a little bit of texture to your animation, a little creativity, and so on and so forth. So what I'm going to do to create that is I'm going to go to Insert, New Symbol, and the first thing I need to do is I need to create one of those windmill fans. Okay, so I'm going to say windmill fan. I'm going to say okay. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to choose I'm going to go to properties. I'm going to choose my border color. I use the rectangle tool. Maybe I'll make it a little bit thicker, not too much. And the color for my windmill. So again, this could be anything really. For this, just because I like bright colors, I'm going to choose red, but you're not required to choose any specific color. Okay, then for my first windmill fan, this one's going to be pretty important because it's going to be the basis for my entire project. So I'm going to draw a rectangle, and again, that's going to work for the type of windmill I chose for this demonstration. It's very simple. And so if you have a little bit more artistic talent, then I would encourage you to get a little bit more complex. Okay, and I want to try and even those out so that the fan looks good. I'm pretty happy with that. So I'll leave it with that. So that's my windmill fan. Every time that I'm done drawing something as a symbol, creating something as a symbol, I want to go back to scene one. Okay? So now I'm back in scene one, and you can see here in my library, I've got my windmill fan. Okay? The next thing I want to do is I want to create the whole windmill, right? With probably 8 of these fans. So to do that, I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to go to Insert, New Symbol, and this time it's going to be my entire windmill. Okay? Okay? And watch how easy this is. I've already got this. I've already got my windmill fan. So I'm going to drag my windmill fan onto the screen. Okay. I'm going to make sure I have my selection tool, and I'm going to make sure I selected that windmill fan. I'm going to copy it by holding down Control and pushing C on my keyboard, and I'm going to paste it. I'm going to grab my free transform tool, and I'm going to rotate this. I'm going to lock them up right there. I'm going to make my zoom out just a little bit. Okay, and now I'm actually going to go ahead and I'm going to grab everything on my entire windmill screen. I'm going to copy Control C and V again. With my free transforms tool still selected, I'm going to rotate this so that it's horizontal now. I'm going to use the arrow keys and I'm going to that right there in the center. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to highlight everything, or I can just click on this keyframe right down here at the bottom. I'm going to hold down Control C and V. And now this is only because I want your windmill might have more or it might have less. So it's really dependent on you and your style. Remember, it's fun to have there's no right or wrong way, right? It's fun to be creative and That's what adds to like the interest or makes each of your animations kind of fun and interesting. Okay, so now I've got like a general idea. I'm relatively happy with that, right? If I wanted to like adjust anything, I can do that easily. And once I'm content with it, I think the last thing I want to do is I want to put a little button right on the front so that it hides all these like lines coming together. So I'm gonna grab my oval tool and make it yellow. I'll leave a border, I guess, and I'll do that. Now the problem is going to be it probably, since it's not a symbol, is going to go behind. So I'm going to just go ahead and I'm going to modify, convert that one thing to a symbol, and I'm going to call it like middle circle. Okay, put it right there in the center. Right, and now I've got a very basic windmill. All right. Again, I really encourage you to be a little bit more creative, but again, I really want you just to kind of understand like how to work with the symbols over here on like that I'm creating in your library, and then how to manage the library well. So since I'm done with that, I'm going to go back to scene one. All right. And the last thing I need to do is I'm going to insert one more new symbol, and this one's going to be my moving windmill. Okay. So I'm ready to start moving my windmill. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to grab my entire windmill, put it on the screen. I might shrink it down just a little bit now. Okay. Remember, you can make it as big or as small as you want when we get back into scene one. Leave it just like that. And now I'm going to rotate it. So I want it to rotate smoothly throughout my whole animation. And I don't want it to move too quick, so I'm going to insert my first keyframe at 20. And I'm only going to rotate it 1/4 of a turn. Okay, so exactly 1/4 of a turn. Okay, I'm going to go to 40, insert a keyframe, and I'm going to rotate it another 90 degrees. I'm going to go to 60, and I'm going to insert a keyframe. I'm going to rotate it another 90 degrees. Now to get it back to where it started, right, obviously I need to make 4 turns. So that would be 80 keyframes to get it right back where I started. But I don't want to insert a keyframe at 80 because then it's when it restarts, you're going to see a glitch. It's going to pause. So I'm actually going to insert the keyframe at 78. And instead of rotating it the full 90 degrees like I did with my first view, I'm going to rotate it a little bit less. And hopefully that'll look good. If it doesn't, I can adjust this slightly. So I'm going to create my classic tweens here in the symbol, right? This is my moving windmill. Okay, and that's what it looks like. When I'm done with that and I'm happy with how it looks, I go back to scene one. All right. Now that is obviously the hardest part of the entire assignment, right? That's the new skill we just learned. It's our windmill fan. All right. And to bring that windmill fan onto our screen, I'm going to bring my moving windmill. That's why it's important to name our symbols right here. Okay. I can then go to properties. I'm going to give it a base very quickly. I'm going to put on another layer, insert layer, and we'll call this like windmill base, right? It could be a house, it could be a little farm, but again, for like my purposes right this second, I want to try and get you guys started. Selection tool, that. I don't want that coming over, because I got a little bit coming over here too. See, it's very easy to fix. If it's good, and let's just this. Now, I'm happy with that. Put it right on there. Okay. Go to control, test scene, and there it goes. and that looks pretty darn good. Okay, so again, we can get a little bit more complex with this. After you've done that step, right, you have a couple of like really cool options. The first thing that's nice is like you want to go ahead and you want to draw like a creative background. The other thing though that's really pretty amazing is that because you already set up this symbol, if I wanted to, right, I could grab my windmill base, copy it, right? I could make it, let's say we'll make it a little bit smaller. I'm going to add it to a new layer, call it second, I'm going to just second windmill base. I'll paste it here, I'll put it back here in the background. And watch this, insert layer, second, we'll call it spinning windmill, SW. Again, you just want to make sure that you understand your layers. I'm going to go to my library, I'm going to grab my moving windmill, right? I'm going to shrink it down nice and small so it looks like it's back here in the distance. Okay, so I've created some depth of field now. I go to modify, or I go to control, test scene, and check that out. I've got two windmills. Because I already created this symbol, it's going to do it for me. I could have as many windmills as I wanted on my screen. All right? So from here, once you've created your windmill, you only have to have one. That's the only requirement. But if you wanted to have a few, that would be really neat, and it would be very simple to do. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to draw like some creative background, maybe some mountains, a little field, some flowers. You can see those wound up being symbols for me, flower bunches, right, and so on and so forth. And so go ahead and add some creativity to your animation, and that's it for today. Great, thanks. I hope that helped, and feel free to watch it again if you want to see how that was done, or call me over and I can give you a hand. Thanks. Bye.